Hello good people of YouTube and welcome to my hobby channel. In this quick video I just wanted to follow up from the previous video on green stuff that I did recently. Lots of questions, lots of comments on that video. Thanks ever so much to everyone who took the time. The first thing I wanted to say is obviously in the hobby we use a lot of modeling materials and substances that may be toxic or harmful to the environment. That was pointed out in my previous video on green stuff, but it was pointed out in a very sarcastic, cynical kind of way, which was unhelpful, so I've deleted those comments. When it comes to me making my videos and talking about hobby products, some of which may be dangerous, some of which may be harmful, some of which may be toxic, let's face it, you can hurt yourself on a craft knife or a scalpel blade. I'm working on the assumption that we're all adults here, we're all grown-ups. You've all got your own relationships with hobby products, you've all got your own relationships with the people that you buy those products from. If you've any questions about the chemical composition of the products that you're using, whether or not they're harmful, what impact they have on the environment, then my recommendation is that you visit either the manufacturer's website, the wholesaler's website. I have to work on the assumption that you are all responsible and that you will all take care of your own health and your own obligations to the environment. The other thing that I wanted to pick up on, obviously, is those of you who know me, those of you who know my channel, know that mental health plays a big part in what I do. This isn't a mental health channel, and I don't offer any mental health advice. But I know from my own experience that we all need some form of escapism from the harsh realities of life and the world outside. If you're anything like me, topics of politics, religion, the state of the planet and environmental issues, they're not just a concern, they're also very triggering. So if you have a need to discuss those, if you have a need to unpack those issues, then please respect the fact that my channel is not the place to do that. My hobby channel is also my art therapy. I make these videos because I love the hobby, I love modeling, and it helps me with my mental health issues. I have a lot of problems that I deal with privately that are all to do with complex PTSD spanning half a century. So it's important that my channel remains a happy, positive place. So having said that, I just wanted to introduce you to some of the other putties that I use. I talk about it a lot, and there were some questions from people who were genuinely interested to know. For example, someone said they've heard a lot about mixing Milliput with green stuff, a 50-50 mix. What were my thoughts on that? Excellent question. Thank you. I did respond in the comments, but I'm just going to pick up on that here in this video. I mix green stuff with Milliput all the time, not just because, you know, 36 inches of green stuff can cost anything from between about £10 to £20. You can normally pick up a box of standard Milliput for under £4, sometimes even less if you shop from the right place. I have a local hardware store that I get mine from at a very reasonable price. It certainly works out to be a very inexpensive alternative to green stuff, but it doesn't have the same qualities as green stuff. Green stuff, when you mix it, can be very plasticky. It's flexible. When it cures and dries, you can still bend and flex the green stuff. Sometimes that works to your advantage, sometimes it's a quality that you don't want. Milliput, when it hardens and cures, goes rock solid. You can carve it with a craft knife, you can file it, you can shape it. You can't really do that with green stuff on its own because it will tear. So I mix the two in differing ratios depending on what I want to achieve. 50-50 mix is a pretty good starting point. If I'm sculpting things like hair or fur, and I need a little bit of elasticity and pull to the putty, I'll use more green stuff and only a tiny bit of Milliput. If I know I'm producing a geometric shape that I'll need to carve and file and smooth, then I will use 90% Milliput with maybe 10% green stuff in there. So yeah, I mix it all the time. I've been doing that since I first kind of discovered green stuff in the late 1990s. I grew up on Milliput. You can get different types. Prices vary dramatically when you start moving into other colours. I think standard Milliput and terracotta Milliput, which I've used a lot, are very closely aligned with their price. Then you get things like black, silver, white. You can get smooth, ultra fine. I think now they even do a turquoise Milliput. All of them were designed, as far as I'm aware, to harden underwater. Most of these putties were originally conceived for the industrial market, the plumbing trade, things like that. We just happen to have appropriated them in the modeling industry, in the hobby industry, and we use them for sculpting now. I also use Super Sculpey from time to time. I just thought I'd show you this giant quickly. It's not gone into production yet. The brown putty that you can see, that's green stuff mixed with terracotta Milliput. The light flesh tone colour here, that's the beige Super Sculpey that I've used on areas of skin. And then there's some green putty here, which is Milliput and green stuff mixed, sort of 50-50 or thereabouts. Same on the base there as well. So this is an example of a model that I've sculpted using a mix of different putties. Now the Super Sculpey is kind of a bit like Play-Doh really. You can fashion it, you can shape it, you can sculpt with it, and it stays workable and malleable for a very long time. In fact, it doesn't properly cure or harden until you bake it in the oven on a low temperature, so as not to burn it, but still. And then it goes rock hard, but it does have a tendency to crack if you're doing long, thin shapes, for example, legs and things like that. If you dry them out too quickly, bake them too intensively, they can crack. And again, this would be molded in resin, this miniature, if it was ever put into production. Chances are the areas of the legs, the skin that's done in Super Sculpey, they could crack when the master is extracted from the rubber mold. So that's another reason why I pick and mix putties seemingly at random, but obviously I'm thinking about the stresses and the rigors that they will have to go through at any point in the production process should something I've sculpted end up going into production. So I'll just open this quickly to show you what Super Sculpey actually looks like. It's quite soft, I said quite workable until you heat it up and bake it. And that means it's great for doing things where perhaps you're not very confident or it takes a long time to get it right. Facial expressions, facial features, difficult things like hands on large creatures. This is all somewhere where Super Sculpey might be a good help. It's also a great putty to experiment with if you're, new to the hobby or new to sculpting. Everybody asks me what qualities, what skills do you need to be a miniature sculptor? And there is really only one answer, and that's confidence. Everything else comes with practice. If you want to sculpt miniatures, if you want to convert miniatures, you just need the confidence to go ahead and do it and not be afraid of making mistakes. The other thing I wanted to pick up on briefly was the fact that you can actually get green stuff. This is obviously needle tight blue-yellow putty ribbon. You can get it in sticks of a similar size to the Milliput sticks that you can see here. I think the hardener is blue, the filler is yellow. They're packed separately, which means the two different elements never come into contact, so they don't react. A number of people have pointed out, even though I said it in my previous video, that if you're concerned about the reaction between those two strips, you can separate them, you can store them separately. I freeze my Milliput. I don't bother separating them out because the freezer slows that reaction down enough for me. I've had putty that I've taken out of the freezer after 15 years and it's been fine. There hasn't even been any hardening between the two strips. So, but yeah, if you're sculpting professionally, then obviously quality is more of an issue than if you're just sculpting for fun and love of the hobby. But you can get green stuff sticks. I have bought them from time to time. I prefer the ribbon because that's what I grew up with. Also, I freeze the ribbon, so if I take a piece of ribbon out of the freezer, I can snap off what I need. Big chunky sticks like this coming out of the freezer won't snap. You either have to cut them up first into the sizes that you think you'll need and freeze separate segments, or you need to take both sticks out of the freezer, defrost them, and then put them back in the freezer. That's something that I don't really like doing. Once my green stuff goes in the freezer, it stays in the freezer, that's it. One of the reasons why I tend not to buy my green stuff in sticks is because when you break off the amount that you need, it's also harder to kind of manipulate in your hands. Thin ribbon warms up easily, you can mix it easily. Some people complain that the sticks, they're harder work to cut and it's harder to work the putty in your hands when you have cut the pieces off that you need, but it's down to personal preference. I store my green stuff in an airtight container or in a zip seal bag with an airtight seal. Someone did point out quite rightly that technically these aren't airtight containers, the ones that I get from Silmaster. I know they're not, it was a figure of speech. Just to clarify, technically this isn't airtight, but it offers better protection from the air than when you buy green stuff in a clamshell or a blister. So I refer you back to my previous video on that if you haven't seen it. Last thing I wanted to comment on is plastic putty from Vallejo. You can get liquid green stuff from Games Workshop, which works on a similar kind of principle as plastic putty. It isn't green stuff, even though they've used that terminology. It's just a green liquid paint or liquid filler. This plastic putty is 100% acrylic resin, so it should be pretty safe to use on more or less anything. Some plastic putties do actually react with the plastic you find in model kits and multi-part plastic miniatures, so just be careful. If you choose to buy one, read the label, check you're getting the right thing. My channel isn't a commercial venture. It's my own personal hobby channel. I do the channel because it's art therapy for me and my own mental health issues. All I'm trying to do is demystify the hobby and pass on information that I hope all of you out there who watch my videos will find useful. Hopefully you've enjoyed this follow-up video. If you have, please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel for many more hobby videos like this. Please check out my other videos as well. If you'd like to leave a comment, please do, but keep those comments kind and respectful. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.